want to start a funny trend of about white culture and white trash culture, and I want people to stitch this and tell me when they knew they were white trash. So I'll go first. My mom has no teeth and a pet squirrel named Ruckus. How about you? And tell me when they knew they were white trash.
Like the first time was probably when people broke the news to me that cigarettes smell bad. Like I'd be hanging out with my friends and we'd smell somebody lining up a cigarette and they'd be like, oh my god, this smells disgusting. How do people do this? This is awful. And I would personally be like, Marlboro Red, nice. I was one of the few kids who could distinguish between the smell of a Camel and a Newport, based purely off which relative it reminded me of. At a red flag, absolutely. Probably one of the few Gen Zers who's ever bought cigarettes for their grandparents while they were a minor, because the cashier at the liquor store knew my grandpa's car and just gave them to me when I gave him the cash. And I know what you're thinking, Megan, therapy immediately. I need to be right.
People to stitch this and tell me when they knew they were white trash.
So I just woke up, so excuse the mess, but I have a couple of these. Yeah, growing up poor with the black sheep of an Appalachian family for a mother really does a number on you. Okay, so here we go. I realized I was white trash when I went over to other people's houses, like over to friends' houses and stuff, and I realized that most people have normal curtains, not blankets pinned above the windows as curtains. I realized when I told, it might have been a different family member, or it might have been someone else, but when I told someone that the smell of cigarette smoke, particularly Marlboros, smelled comforting to me and made me feel safe. And then the last one I can think of is I also knew when within the first 2 months of moving to a new house where we lived for 6 years, within the first 2 months that the neighbors had called our landlord to tell us to get our shit out of the front yard, and complained about us having 3 cars, only one of which we drove because the other 2 didn't work, in the driveway. So yeah, it's fun. It's real fun.
Me when they knew they were white trash.
There was one night when I was, I don't know how old, I forgot, but basically I was throwing empty spray paint cans into a fire and watching them blow up, as you do on a Friday night. And there was a possum. And then I picked up the possum and petted it like it was a cat. It's probably when I was like, oh yeah. Which I'm surprised I didn't realize it earlier, because my dad was literally a shiner in the 60s and had a still built in his backyard.
She wants to know when I knew I was white trash. Probably when I was about 9 years old. My parents were divorced. They got divorced when I was 8. So I go stay with my dad every other weekend. That's how they used to do it. It was none of this 1 week off, 1 week on crap. And, he had 2 little girls that were probably super annoying. So he had a lot of junk cars sitting around he used for parts and stuff. So as entertainment, he gave us a sledgehammer and said, hey, have fun with the car. And proceeded to let us just beat the shit out of the car with a sledgehammer. Which then, in turn, of my sister taking the discarded antenna off the car and beating me with it. Yeah, that was super fun. Which ensued in a brawl that lasted, and a welt that lasted for days. So that was about the start of it.
When they knew they were white trash.
So basically, growing up, my dad had me memorize the entire history of the Pabst Blue Ribbon Beer Company. It was his party trick, I guess. And also, there's a picture floating around somewhere of us at a Halloween party, and he's wearing a mullet wig and jorts and beer holster, unironically, and I am wearing a SpongeBob costume, like just foam SpongeBob, and I want a copy of Crocodile Dundee that night, bobbing for apples.
People to stitch this and tell me when they knew they were white trash.
All right. So this was about 8 years ago. Brought my then boyfriend, now husband, home to meet my dad's side of the family for the first time. First time this man has ever been out to the boondocks to meet my white trash side of the family, okay? It is Thanksgiving. We have all eaten the main course already, and it is dessert time. I am fucking up some buttermilk pie because that is my shit, y'all. I wait all year long for my grandma's buttermilk pie, and she makes 2. One of them is just for me, okay? So I am in my happy place. In walks my uncle, and his girlfriend is kind of toddling along behind him. And I say toddling because we can all immediately tell that she is high, okay? She can't walk a straight line. Her eyes are like rolling around like she's high. She walks straight through the screen door. Like the screen door is closed. She walks through it, crashes through it, onto the back porch, falls off the back porch, lands on the concrete, hits her head, gets up, head's bleeding. Now, does she care? No, because she's high. She can't feel pain. My uncle, however, is very concerned, and my uncle sounds exactly like Boomhauer from King of the Hill. That's not an exaggeration. So he comes over, and he's like, oh my God, baby, are you okay? Are you okay? And then my grandma comes up, and she starts yelling, God damn it, Jerry, I told you not to bring this fucking crack whore to my house in the first place. So all this shit's going on in the background, right? And y'all, I didn't know I was white trash. It wasn't even the events. It wasn't even this actually going down that clued me into the fact that I was white trash. It was the difference in my reaction to it and my husband's reaction to it. Because I am not really reacting at all. Meanwhile, he's sitting there with his eyes this big around and he's staring at me like, and I can't figure out why he's staring at me. And I'm like, dude, I already told you I was going to eat a whole pie. Like, I don't know why you're acting so surprised. I told you I was going to eat a whole pie. And he's like, I'm not worried about the pie. I'm worried about what's going on back here. I'm trying to figure out why it's not bothering you. And I was like, oh, that? Like, what do you want me to do, man? It's Thanksgiving.
When they knew they were white trash.
Shoo-wee, buddy, I've been waiting for this, and let's get to it. My great-uncle Willis died at 102 years old because he fell out of a tree while apple picking. Why was he in the tree at 102 years old? The mart had him for under $1. You should have just gone there, Willis. My little brother's hockey team goes down to El Paso, Texas, and as they're down there walking through the tunnel, all of a sudden some other fans throw a full dead deer at their team, knocking over the goalie like the world's weirdest venison bowling you've ever seen. I don't know why. How did they get the deer? How did they smuggle it into the rink? Were they just trying to give jerky to the other team and forgot a couple steps? We'll never know.
I want people to stitch this and tell me when they knew they were white trash.
Well, I knew we were white trash when one time I took my kids to the zoo and we were at the monkey exhibit and the lady was explaining all about the monkey, and when a moment of silence came, my youngest daughter said, hey, Mom, we should get a monkey so it can pick all the lice bugs out of our hair. Everybody just kind of slid away to the side.
When they knew they were white trash.
So when I was a kid, if a power outage happened, we didn't go check the breakers. We went to the door to see the disconnect notice.
I want to start a funny trend of about white.
When my youngest sister turned 2, we just decided to skip her birthday that year because we couldn't afford a birthday cake or presents, so we just decided to not tell her. If you've ever taken a sip of a soda and gotten cigarette butts swallowed when you were a child,
Or if you accidentally took a sip of a beer instead of a soda and got a big old swig of like Natty Ice or Milwaukee's Best, my pop-up's favorite. If you had a specific routine for when and if CPS comes because you were so used to them coming to your house all the time. If you resonated with any Eminem music ever when you were a kid and your dad made you listen to Mockingbird to manipulate you about him and your mom's divorce. And probably just a whole lot more. White trash girls represent.
I want people to stitch this and tell me when they knew they were white trash.
I knew I was white trash when I grew up because when I left home, houses were silent when you walked around because they had cement foundations. They weren't trailers.
When they knew they were white trash.
It was kind of when I realized like what an actual nice restaurant is, because my family has on more than one occasion gone to the local racetrack to celebrate Thanksgiving because they have a buffet special. And about 2 years ago, my dad took us to Pizza Ranch to announce that his girlfriend, who got him arrested, was pregnant and that we were going to have a younger sibling. And then a couple months later, they took us to Applebee's to announce the miscarriage. So
stitch this and tell me when they knew they were white trash. So
oh, this is a fun one. When I was a kid, my dad used to tell us that he knew that we were white trash because the farthest back that they've ever been able to trace his family line is to a man named Dirt. So I literally come from dirt.
When they knew they were white trash.
In the 90s, it was really popular to do your mama jokes or you're so poor that jokes. And one day I realized that my mom was, and I really was so poor.